I never thought I'd be standing at the altar on the day of my wedding, staring at an empty aisle where my bride was supposed to be. The morning had been perfect, or at least I thought it was. Sunlight spilled across the garden, flowers were arranged just the way she liked them, and all of our friends and family had gathered, buzzing with excitement. I was nervous, sure, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. Her phone hadn't rung that morning, which was strange because she was usually texting me every few minutes. I tried calling her a few times while pacing backstage, but every call went straight to voicemail. I shrugged it off, thinking she might be busy getting ready. After all, weddings were chaotic, right? But then, 30 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start, I got a text. It was from her, and it was empty. Just a single dot. I froze. My heart pounded in a way I'd never felt before. My mind raced with every possibility. Traffic jam, last-minute nerves, some joke she thought would be funny. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. There was a tension in the air that no one else seemed to notice. My best man tried to calm me, cracking a few jokes that fell flat. The crowd was beginning to whisper, glancing at the empty aisle as the music started to play. And that's when I realized she wasn't coming. I can't describe the mixture of shock, disbelief, and pain that hit me. Every plan I'd ever imagined about our life together, the house, the vacations, the lazy Sunday mornings, collapsed in an instant. I wanted to run after her, scream her name, beg her to come back, but I couldn't. Not yet. Not in front of everyone. My hands shook as I gripped the edge of the podium, trying to steady myself, feeling every eye on me. And then, something completely unexpected happened. From the corner of my eye, I saw her sister walking toward me. My stomach twisted. She had never been someone I was particularly close to. In fact, there had been tension between us in the past, a sort of cold politeness that masked deeper disagreements. But now she was here, moving with a determined calm, as if she already knew what I couldn't yet understand. "Are you ready?" she asked softly, but there was a weight behind her words, like she knew something I didn't. Before I could respond, the crowd started murmuring, and the music swelled. My heart raced, not just from fear or panic, but from a strange, unexplainable anticipation. Why was she walking me down the aisle? What had happened to my bride? And most importantly, what did this mean for me, for us, and for the life I thought I had planned? I took a shaky breath and tried to steady my hands. Whatever was coming next, I had no idea it would change everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family. But one thing was certain. This wedding would not go the way anyone expected. And in that moment, as her sister's hand reached for mine, I realized the biggest shock hadn't hit yet. Looking back, I guess I should have seen the cracks long before this day. My bride, Emily, was beautiful, vibrant, full of laughter that could fill a room. We met almost 5 years ago, in that awkward way two people just happened to collide in a coffee shop, and from the start, I felt like I'd known her forever. But beneath her warmth, there was a part of her that was distant, private, a little unpredictable. I chalked it up to quirks. Everyone has them, right? Her sister, Olivia, was different. She was quieter, reserved, and had this steady presence that made people feel safe, even when they didn't know her well. I'd always respected her, though we never really connected the way Emily and I did. Olivia had been living abroad for a few years, coming back only for holidays, which meant our interactions were always brief, polite, and just surface level. But Emily had a complicated relationship with her, protective, sometimes tense, and layered with unspoken history. I never knew the details, and honestly, I didn't think I wanted to. The months leading up to the wedding were supposed to be perfect. Emily was meticulous about every detail: the flowers, the guest list, the cake. I tried to help, but honestly, I mostly let her lead. I thought that was part of being a good partner. But there had been small signs, tiny hesitations, averted eyes when certain topics came up, little comments that didn't quite make sense. At the time, I brushed them off. She loved me. She wanted this. That was enough. Even the morning of the wedding had felt strangely off. Emily had been quiet at breakfast, scrolling through her phone with a distracted look. I joked, trying to lighten the mood, but she barely smiled. Her usual sparkle felt dimmed, like a light struggling to stay on. I tried to shake the thought from my mind, telling myself I was imagining things. Weddings were stressful. Everyone was on edge. It wasn't a big deal. And then there was Olivia, lurking in the background, calm as ever, almost too calm. She had been helping Emily get ready, organizing the bridesmaids, checking details I didn't even notice. Every time our eyes met, I caught a flicker of something I couldn't place, a look that felt like a warning, but I didn't understand what it meant. Now, standing alone, with Emily gone and the entire crowd staring, the weight of that missing understanding hit me. I realized just how little I actually knew about what had been going on behind the scenes, the quiet tension, the unspoken arguments, the secrets Emily never shared. And now, the person I had barely known, Olivia, was stepping into a role I never expected, walking me down the aisle, as if she had the right, or the responsibility, to do so. I wanted to question her, to ask why, to demand answers, but I couldn't. The guests were waiting, the music was playing, and somewhere deep inside, I felt an uneasy curiosity. Why now? Why her? And what had Emily done that would make her sister take over like this? The answers were out there, tangled in silence and secrets. And as I took that first hesitant step toward the altar, guided by Olivia's steady hand, I realized something terrifying. The story I thought I knew, my life with Emily, was far from over, and the next revelations might change everything. The aisle felt longer than I remembered from rehearsals. Each step I took with Olivia's hand gripping mine felt surreal, like I was moving through a dream I couldn't wake up from. The crowd's whispers buzzed in my ears, strangers' eyes heavy on me, but the sound of the music barely registered. My mind was a whirlwind of questions I didn't know how to answer. Why had Emily left? Where was she? Was this some last-minute panic, or had she made a choice I couldn't imagine? I felt a knot in my chest, tightening with every step. My heart screamed for answers, yet I couldn't voice a single question aloud without drawing more attention. And all the while, Olivia walked steadily beside me, calm, almost unnervingly so, as if she already knew something I didn't. The moment I reached the front, I noticed the subtle shifts in the room. Friends and family exchanging worried glances, the officiant's polite but strained smile. And Olivia, she looked at me with a mixture of resolve and hesitation, like she had rehearsed this moment for years, yet it still pained her to be here instead of Emily. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll guide you through this. Just trust me." I nodded, though the words didn't bring comfort. They only made the situation feel stranger. The ceremony was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but instead, it had become a stage for confusion, betrayal, and silent questions that burned hotter than any vows could. I kept looking toward the entrance, half expecting Emily to appear at any moment, to run into my arms and explain it all. But the doorway remained empty, and with every passing second, the possibility that she might never come filled the room with an unspoken tension. And then, just as the officiant began to speak, a subtle shift in Olivia's demeanor caught my attention. A flicker of fear in her eyes, a hesitation in her posture that didn't fit her usual composure. She glanced toward the side aisle, almost as if expecting someone, or something. My stomach twisted. What was she seeing? Who else knew about Emily's disappearance? And why did I suddenly feel like I was in the middle of a story far bigger than just a runaway bride? In that moment, standing on the edge of the altar with the crowd watching, it became painfully clear. This wasn't just a wedding gone wrong. It was the beginning of a tangled web of secrets, and I had no idea which direction it would pull me next. And then, a whisper reached my ear, soft but sharp, that froze me in place. The whisper lingered, twisting around my chest like smoke. I turned, trying to see who had spoken, but there was no one close enough to the altar. Olivia's grip tightened on my hand, almost imperceptibly, but enough to send a jolt through me. Her eyes darted toward the side doors again, then back to me, filled with a strange urgency. I wanted to ask her what was happening, but the words got stuck in my throat. The officiant cleared his throat, trying to start the ceremony, but the air had shifted. Guests were leaning forward, uneasy. Sensing the tension, I could barely contain myself. Every smile now seemed forced. Every murmur felt like it carried a secret. I looked out over the crowd, searching for a familiar face, anyone who might understand what was going on. But the faces I loved most were clouded with confusion, worry, and curiosity. Olivia's calm facade began to crack, just a little, as she spoke again. "Just focus on me. Everything else doesn't matter right now." Her words were reassuring, but her eyes betrayed a hidden fear. Something was coming, something that none of us were prepared for. And yet, I couldn't help but trust her, even if I didn't fully understand why. I tried to steady my breathing, telling myself this was temporary, that Emily would appear any second and explain it all. But the longer the silence stretched, the heavier the uncertainty became. Memories of Emily flickered in my mind. The way she used to laugh at my terrible jokes, the way her hand fit perfectly in mine, the way she always had an answer for everything. And now, all of that was gone, replaced by a void filled with questions I couldn't yet answer. The music swelled, but it didn't comfort me. It felt like a countdown, each note signaling something I couldn't see, something lurking just beyond the edges of the ceremony. Olivia glanced at me again, her lips pressing into a thin line, eyes narrowing slightly, as if she were calculating the next move in a plan only she understood. I realized then that she wasn't just guiding me down the aisle. She was protecting me from something I hadn't even realized existed. And then movement. From the corner of my vision, I saw a figure slip silently behind the guests, almost hidden, but deliberate. My heart jumped. Who was it? Emily? Someone else entirely? The whisper from before seemed to echo again, closer this time, and a cold realization gripped me. Whatever had happened wasn't just about a runaway bride. There were forces, secrets, decisions, and betrayals far bigger than I had imagined. Olivia's hand squeezed mine again, harder now, as if she knew the moment was coming when the truth would hit me like a storm. I wanted to ask her, to demand answers, but even as the officiant began speaking again, I sensed the shift. Something monumental was about to happen. And then, a shadow fell over the aisle, and everything I thought I knew about my wedding, and about Emily, was about to be shattered. Just as I braced myself for Emily to appear, or for Olivia to explain everything, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I hadn't noticed it, too consumed by the tension in the room. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. A message. Not from Emily. Not from anyone I knew. It read, "Stop trusting her. She's not who you think she is." I froze. My gaze snapped to Olivia. She was still beside me, smiling, reassuring, but something in her eyes flickered, a shadow that hadn't been there before. My stomach dropped. Could it be true? Was the woman I had trusted, who had stepped in to save this day, actually hiding her own secret? The whisper from earlier echoed again, and this time, it wasn't subtle. It was inside my head, clear, urgent. "Look behind you." I turned slowly, heart hammering, and saw a figure in the back of the crowd, watching, waiting. My mind screamed with possibilities. Emily? Someone else? And suddenly, the entire world I thought I understood, the wedding, my bride, Olivia, felt like a fragile illusion, ready to collapse at any moment. Everything I had believed about love, loyalty, and family was about to be questioned in ways I couldn't yet imagine. I turned, heart racing, and finally saw her, Emily. She was standing at the back of the crowd, pale, eyes wide with panic, holding a small envelope in her trembling hands. Relief surged through me for a split second, but then a second thought struck me. Why hadn't she come straight to me? Why all the secrecy? Before I could move, Olivia's grip tightened. Her calm, confident facade faltered as she leaned close. "Don't take a step toward her," she whispered, urgency dripping from every word. Confusion and fear collided inside me. What was going on? Emily started walking forward, but the moment she reached the aisle, she froze. She handed me the envelope, her hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. Inside was a note. "I couldn't do it, but she can guide you now. Trust her." My eyes darted to Olivia. Suddenly, everything clicked. Olivia had known Emily's decision in advance. She had orchestrated this moment to protect me, to prevent a public disaster, to step in when Emily couldn't. Anger, relief, and gratitude crashed over me at once. My bride had run, yes, but not out of malice. Something in her life, a past secret I had never known, had forced her to step back. And Olivia had carried the weight of that secret to shield me. I exhaled, a shaky laugh escaping me, thinking the worst was over. The crowd's tension eased slightly, and the ceremony resumed, not as planned, but in a way that somehow felt real. I looked at Olivia, who gave me a small, almost imperceptible nod. And then, just as I thought I could finally breathe, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This one was different, chilling. You still don't know the whole truth. I glanced around the room, panic creeping back. Emily's absence, Olivia's intervention, it was only the surface. Whatever story I thought I had lived was just the beginning. And someone still unseen, was pulling the strings. The wedding, the betrayal, the sisters' tangled loyalties, it had all been leading to this moment. And yet, the final revelation, the truth behind Emily's disappearance and Olivia's role, had not yet come. The envelope still felt heavy in my hand, a symbol of everything I hadn't understood until now. Emily hadn't run because she didn't love me. She hadn't come down the aisle herself because of a past she hadn't shared, a burden she had tried to carry alone. Olivia had stepped in, not as a replacement, but as a bridge, guiding me through the chaos, protecting me from heartbreak, and buying Emily the time she needed to sort through her own fears. After a long, trembling pause, Olivia finally spoke. She wanted to be here, she said softly. But she wasn't ready. She thought she might ruin everything if she showed up now. I looked at her, my mind racing, my heart a tangle of emotions. Relief, anger, love, and gratitude all mingled together. Somehow, in this strange, upside-down wedding, I had to find a way to trust both sisters and myself again. The ceremony continued, slower, quieter than originally planned, but somehow more honest. Guests exchanged tentative smiles, sensing the fragility of the moment, but also the raw authenticity that now filled the space. I realized that a wedding isn't just about perfection. It's about the messy, complicated, beautiful journey two people share and the people around them who sometimes carry pieces of that journey too. After the last vows, or rather, after my quiet promise to be patient and understanding with Emily, Olivia gently squeezed my hand. "You'll see her soon," she said, her tone final yet comforting. I nodded, trusting her. Somewhere beyond the doors, Emily was figuring out how to step back into this story, and I would be ready to meet her halfway. I took a deep breath and let the weight of the morning settle. Everything that had seemed like chaos, the empty aisle, the whispered messages, the secretive glances, had shaped a new understanding in me. Love wasn't about control. It wasn't about perfection. It was about patience, trust, and allowing the people you care about the space to be human, to stumble, and to find their way back. As the ceremony ended, I looked at Olivia, standing beside me, and felt a surge of gratitude. She hadn't just walked me down the aisle. She had walked me through the storm. And in that moment, I realized that family, in all its messy, unpredictable forms, could be just as essential to love as the person you plan to marry. And just when I thought the day couldn't surprise me any further, my phone buzzed again. But this time, it was a simple text from Emily. "I'm ready now. Come find me." The twist was over. The lesson had landed. But the story, the real story of us, was just beginning.